And I'm here with.
Dao.
And how long have you been living in Vietnam?
So I've been here for 2 years, actually.
And what were you doing before back home?
Before
And where's home?
home was California, Orange County, and then I was working in finance for like almost 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just stressful. One day, you kind of just feel like you crack. And I needed a hard reset, and then Vietnam was it.
And what made you like, why Vietnam? Because I know from my experience, there's two types of VietKius, overseas Vietnamese. One is like, they don't care about Vietnam. It's like, they don't really associate with the Vietnamese identity.
Right.
And there's people like us where it's like, oh, it feels like home a bit. I don't know if that's the same for you.
So I was actually pretty lucky. I was introduced to Vietnam at an early age. So my family would visit every year for that. And they'll always bring me. So then Vietnam was just always a part of my childhood.
So it's
just
like
growing up.
like a second home.
It was always a second home. And then eventually, when I started traveling here as an adult by myself, I started realizing this could be home.
Yeah.
And then, like, each time I visited, it felt more like home. And then I think it was like a very common thing between some of the VQs I've met here, which was like post-COVID clarity. I don't know if that's a word, right? Where it's like, dude,
Like
life is short. And then it gave us time to like kind of think of like where we are in life and then how we want our life to be. And then that kind of made me realize like, dude, I'm gonna try this out.
But was there like yes, COVID, but was there like a breaking point where you're like, your life back in America wasn't like satisfying you? Like what made you like, F, and I'm gonna just pack and come here?
Yeah, so working in finance, anyone out there, it's like you're working 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes 14, 7 days a week. You're like every month you're like grinding for this bonus, and then it's just never enough. And then one day I just had an anxiety attack. And then after that, I started seeing a therapist. I started reading more, and then I started going hikes and like camp up myself. And then COVID happened, and it gave me more time to isolate and kind of work on myself too. And then that's when I realized I was like, hey, life is not how I want it to be. Let's try out what I've always dreamed of, and let's relocate to Vietnam. It was a hard reset for like 1 year, and then I met my wife, and now this is my second year, and now we're entering our third year.
Yeah.
So yeah, Vietnam's been awesome.
How was your life back home in America? Like, were you making like a comfy living? Was like everything like house, car? Did you do the American dream?
Yeah, so I grew up like a linear path of how my parents wanted me to be. It's like you go to college, you find a good job. I bought my first home, and then it's not an easy feat to buy a home in Orange County, and I'm sure that's how it is in Canada.
Yeah.
Super expensive. Had a nice car, and then like none of that stuff was like really that important, you know. And then every time I traveled to Vietnam, it was like a month. It just felt like, oh, life is more slowed down here. And then it just felt like the right decision to do a hard reset, try out Vietnam for a year, and then see where life kind of takes me.
Yeah. But did you like console with anyone? Like how did your family react? Your friends were like, what the hell, bro? Like sure, go there for a vacation, but like live there?
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to your contents where the first person I talked to was my mom, and it was like many conversations for her to get to the point where like, I think that's an okay decision.
Yeah.
And it was more so like, hey, tại sao con muốn về Việt Nam, phải không? Con có công việc ổn định ở đây, có lương cũng cao, có nhà rồi, có xe rồi, có gia đình ở đây rồi, tại sao Việt Nam hơi khó?
Because like it's the same with our parents. With like their image of Vietnam is like struggle,
Right.
and like you can't really make it there, even though it's like our Vietnam is different from their Vietnam.
Right.
So it's like they're trying to be like, no, don't go back, because I know how hard it is.
Right. Yeah, and there was a kind of like struggle in the beginning to kind of like show her like, hey, life here is a lot more different. And then I mean, every time she traveled was like, oh, back in her hometown, Vĩnh Long. So it's like she's not really used to like Saigon, where
It's countryside, right?
yeah, she's like way in the country, like 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So that's what she's used to. Like, and then my dad's countryside is Cái Bè, so it's Minh Tây.
Yeah.
And then like she hates the city, so she doesn't understand like how our cities progress.
Yeah.
And then how easy it is to live here, and then how modernized, westernized,
Yeah.
and then there's like so many influence from like Korea, Japan, And then now it's like this metropolis, and then I'm living in this apartment where like I don't even need to go anywhere. Downstairs is like GS25. We have like 7-Eleven. We could order our Grab 24/7. You know.
So on that note, what do you like? So I'm hearing convenience.
Yeah.
But what else do you like about like living in Vietnam for your past like 2 years here? Like what you're like, I can't get this anywhere else.
Dude, I think it's a common thing where a lot of my friends that move here too is the growth. Moving in a new country, it kind of like gives you that pressure, and then like without pressure, there's no diamond, right? And then it's kind of a word that I've heard time to time from my friends and family, even from my wife, is "trung tan." Like it helped me mature, where I was in a space where
Wait, for the folks out there, how old are you?
I'm 38, so
This year or 39 this year?
I'm 38 this year, so
Happy late.
Thanks. That was in May. But yeah, even thinking at my age, 38, you know, it's never too late to start a new chapter,
Yeah.
right? And then even retrospectively thinking back, like, did I start too late? I should have done this earlier. No, like, it's great that I moved 2 years ago, and I was able to kind of like just take everything in, and then help me grow and be more mature.
Yeah.
And even at 38, I'm still not super mature, but you know, it's not a linear path. It's kind of up and down.
But it's mature to realize you're not mature. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Self-awareness.
And then now it's like living here where I wasn't able, like, I guess back home, what I realized is you have more of a responsibility. And then it's more a responsibility to your family, and now I have a responsibility for like the community. And then it's helped me be more grateful. And then I have gratitude where like I could live in this nice apartment, and then you know, I could be free and then not worry about things, and then I could help other people as well.
So let's talk some about the negatives. Like maybe the first year was the toughest.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've come here like you say every year, but living here is different from just being a tourist, right? You don't go to like Bui Vin, you don't party every day. Maybe you can, but like
Yeah.
you wake up and like you're in the traffic now. And it's
Yeah.
not like, oh my God, it's so new.
Yeah.
It's like, this is my everyday. So what are the things that you're like, so what were some of the challenges of like having to adapt?
Right. Something about Saigon is like it's convenient, but it's not convenient at the same time. And it's like there is that language barrier, and then we have to kind of figure out like there's different regions and guys and girls, and like they're from like different dialects. Like most of the time I can't understand them. So then like you have things getting delivered, or you're trying to like set up your Wi-Fi, or you're trying to like set up like sign up for a gym. I mean, that's the most difficult part. It's the language.
It's almost like we're experiencing what our parents experienced living in Canada or like US, not having we're the reverse fobs. It's like, we're like, I remember like being so frustrated, my parents be like, why can't you understand? It's the basic English. And I'm like, oh, I get it.
Right.
Because like my Vietnamese ain't that good either.
Yeah, I mean, it makes us appreciate our parents.
Yeah.
Because even my mom today, like even her English is not that great, but she was able to raise 3 kids, put us all through college in America. And then me coming back here, like, damn, sometimes it sucked.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can't get this delivery guy to know where I live.
Yeah.
You know, or I can't set up my internet, or man, I feel like I can't communicate enough where I'm getting like scammed from like gyms or like things I'm trying to sign up for.
I don't know about you. I do want to do a piece on this, but the gym process here, because like back home, like they'll give you the different tiers here,
Right.
the price. Here it's like literally like a blanket piece of paper, and like I know, here we got price 1, price 2, price 3, and it's just like a white piece of paper with like chicken scratch.
Yeah. And that's everywhere. I went to a chiropractor the other day. I was like, they kind of just billed my price for me. I was like, is there not like a package that I could go through?
Yeah.
And then and the gym people, they just constantly call you every day, and they text you good morning. They're very aggressive.
But I think it's like how it's like here, where it's like everybody has to like feed themselves, right? So it's like
Right.
that. It gets that like that mindset. Whereas like back home, it's you have that, but it's like a different sense of like sales.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I feel like the basic hourly pay here, I think it's like 20, 30 grand an hour.
Yeah. For like minimum wage, yeah, like 50K, 40K.
Yeah, and it makes me feel guilty because sometimes I'll go to McDonald's, spend like 200K on a burger.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. But I mean, going back to the difficulty
Yeah.
too of like first 3 months living here,
Yeah.
I would say loneliness.
Yeah.
Like trying to find your community,
Yeah.
and then like you're trying to force or like speed up the process of finding really good friends.
Yeah.
So for me back home, like I was trying to not replace, but like find quality of friends
Yeah.
that I had that I made back home. Like we've known each other for like almost like 2 decades,
Yeah.
you know? And then
It's different making friends in your 30s, bro, like or later,
Sure.
because like you have the homies back home. You go to like elementary, high school,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you've been through stuff where it's like now it's like older. Everyone's more like established, and it's like it almost feels like transactional almost, right? As you get an adult, it's like, oh, what can you do for me? What can I do for you?
Right. Yeah, I mean, replacing friends that I've went to elementary school with, or we used to play basketball together like every weekend, or go to the gym for like 3-4 hours a day, and now everyone's like very busy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when we meet up, it's very like, hey, let's collab or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not even an influencer.
What?
I'm not even an influencer, you know?
Soon, you will. You are.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was tough because as a 36-year-old, when
Yeah.
I moved here, trying to find a community and like forcing myself, I even went to like SVK, the Saigon VQ, and it didn't feel right. And then I organically met some of the homies. Shout out to Chris, Ann, and then we created like a book club together, where we started talking about you know, our traumas and like our maturity, things like that. And then we had our homie Bante. He's a Buddhist monk, a Mexican Buddhist monk. And then I don't know, I got lucky with them.
Yeah.
And then we started building a community there. And then Chris introduced me to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it just slowly happens, but it is harder as we get older.
Yeah.
Like after 30, 35, it's like we don't meet friends through clubbing anymore. Like I don't go clubbing every day anymore. But yeah.
So wrapping this up, overall, from having anxiety and like working in like finance, have you found what you're looking for in Vietnam, or is that, or the search continues, but you have more of a certain path? What do you think about that?
That's a good question. I think the search constantly continues as you get older. You know, you're finding your purpose, you're finding yourself again, you're growing, you're maturing. I mean, I found my happiness here. We're building a family. I met my wife here. We got married. Super grateful for her. And then like together we're finding our own goals, and then we're slowly starting our own path. But for me, yeah, I was able to find a community. I was able to find people I love. I'm closer with my family here. And then the crazy part is it made me closer with my mom, relearning the language. And I'm able to communicate my feelings with her more. Even before my wedding, I wrote her a poem, and I read her that poem, and
Did you start crying too, bro?
yeah, I cried. I haven't cried in like, I would say like 8 years.
Yeah.
And then that one, I cried, dude. So, I mean, living here has been, I can't put a value on it.
Yeah.
I'm way more happy. I'm way more grateful. I compare less. Like, life is good. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm just working at being a better person each day.
Cheers. With these podcasts, I'm still figuring out like how do I like thumbnail these? Like, is there like a sexy shot of you or like me?